Welcome to Foods 10. So today we're going to have a quick micro lesson, and we're going to learn where macronutrients, micronutrients, and water are in the food guide. We're also going to see some physical portion sizes for each section of the food guide. So where are we? What do we already know? We know that Canada's food guide is created by the government to help Canadians achieve healthy living. What do we want to know? We want to know where the macronutrients are and the micronutrients are. We also want to see what the guidelines are for eating each type of nutrient, and we want to see what the physical portion sizes look like. So there's 4 parts to Canada's food guide. There's vegetables and fruits, grain products, milk and alternatives, and meat and alternatives. So if you look at what's circled here on the left, this shows the serving sizes that we're supposed to be eating for each one if you are in the teen category, which most of you are. So the first one we're going to look at is vegetables and fruits. So vegetables and fruits contain the micronutrients. Now vegetables and fruits are the most important part of your meal. They should be at least half of your plate, and you should be getting the most servings of these compared to the other ones. So micronutrients are needed in small amounts. Micronutrients, these are the vitamins and the minerals. But even though they're needed in such small amounts, to get enough, you need to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. So if you look right here, this is a portion size compared to my hand. So this is 1 serving of fresh fruits, and it is half a cup of grapes. So the next one we're going to look at is grain products. Grain products are your carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is the first macronutrient. Now, carbohydrates give the body energy to function, but compared to fruits and vegetables, we don't need as much of them. They're a little bit more than a quarter of your plate you should be eating. So if you look right here, this is 1 serving of grain products. This is half a cup of cooked quinoa compared to my hand. So our third section is milk and alternatives. Now with milk and alternatives, we don't need as much of these compared to the other types of food. So in milk and alternatives, this is where we can find the macronutrient fat. Fat is not something we need as much of, but it's good to have a good amount of fat in your diet because fat helps you feel full longer. So similar to carbohydrates, on how carbohydrates can make you feel full and you need them for energy, fats help you not need to eat as soon because you don't feel as hungry. So if you look on the plate, milk and alternatives are circled as a glass of milk. So you're not limited to just drinking milk. You can have yogurt, you could have cheese, anything like that. So if you look here, this is 1 serving of milk and alternatives. This is 50 grams of cheese compared to my hand. One thing I will say about the cheese, when you're looking at a nutrition label, a lot of the times, 1 serving is a lot less than 50 grams. So just something to be aware of, not to eat too much cheese in your diet. So the last section is meat and alternatives. Now, meat and alternatives, we need a little bit less than 1/4 of it on our plate. According to Canada's food guide, it's the gift that keeps on giving, so you shouldn't be eating a lot. But that really depends when you're comparing like a red meat compared to lean meat. For example, chicken breast, you're going to eat a lot more chicken breast than you're going to be eating like a ribeye steak. So this is where the macronutrient protein is found. Protein is another one that helps you feel full a lot longer. Protein is also great because it helps with the development of muscles. So another great thing that we should be including in our diet. So if you look, here's another portion comparison. So this is my hand compared to 75 grams of cooked chicken breast, which is 1 serving of meat and alternatives. Now, according to Canada's food guide, they like for you to measure your meat once it's cooked. It really depends. A lot of the times, people measure their meat before it's cooked. You just keep in mind, whichever way you measure it, use that as what you're tracking if you're going to be tracking calories and grams of protein, just because once it's cooked, you cook out a lot of the water content, so it becomes a physically smaller looking amount. Lastly, water. Water isn't as featured in the food guide. As you can see, it's circled very smallly. There it is, blown up. So yes, they do circle water. Now, even though it only shows 1 cup, you should be drinking more than 1 cup a day. You should be drinking at least 8 cups, but that can vary depending on how active you are, the weather, things like that. Our bodies are made of water. They're 60% water, so it's a very important thing. You can get water from eating fruits and vegetables, but the best source of water is to drink it. So is this the perfect food guide? No, it's not a perfect food guide. Just for the sole reason it doesn't take into account dietary intolerance. So if you're celiac or you're lactose intolerant, you don't have a big options for alternatives. So even though this is put out by the government, we should be taking it as a grain of salt and not living by it as law. So where are we now? So when we started, we knew that Canada's food guide is something laid out by the government for healthy eating. We wanted to know about macronutrients, micronutrients, where these are in the food guide. We've learned where the macronutrients and micronutrients are in the food guide. We've seen physical portion sizes, and we also touched on where errors are in the food guide. So thanks for listening to my lesson today, and I'll see you again next time.